So let's get on to covering the species that were in news in the month of December 2019. And the first one is Hoolock gibbons. Alright, this is its photo, this is how it looks, and the details are also important. Number one, it's the state animal of Arunachal Pradesh. Not very important because on the Google, if we search, then the state animals of Arunachal Pradesh turn out to be many. So this thing is not important, so do not lose sleep over this. And this is important indeed, that these are the only ape found in India. It's the tailless Hoolock gibbons, and they are the only ape found in India. Important. Their habitat comprises of what? Basically thickly forested areas. So when we talk about forest, we can have a very different sort of forest, but herein we are to talk about tropical evergreen rainforest, tropical evergreen semi-evergreen forest, mixed deciduous and broadleaf hill forest. The broad idea would suffice that they are found in thickly forested area. That's it. Range is important. Naturally, indigenously, or native to eastern Bangladesh, northeast India and southwest China. Means not just in India but are found in Bangladesh and China as well. So if a question comes, Hoolock gibbons are found only in India, so that would be wrong. इतना ज़्यादा हम नहीं याद रख सकते हैं that north east India and south west China, but at least this can be memorized that they are found in Bangladesh, eastern or northeastern part of India and the neighboring area, so that comprises of definitely China and Bangladesh. This too is important, that in India, they are found south of Brahmaputra and their range extends into 7 northeastern states. So that's it, that in all the 7 northeastern states they are basically found, and threats to them are important. Their habitat loss due to fragmentation and due to jhum cultivation, human interference, hunting for food by some ethnic groups. Now herein, if in mains we are asked to write about the threats to the wildlife in the northeastern part of country, then most of the points would be similar as in habitat loss and fragmentation and degradation, but one, that is jhum cultivation, we would be needing to highlight, that is specific to the northeastern area. That's it. Now in this tiny box there are certain details written. I do not think you would be able to read it on your own, but these are slightly important if not very. So basically these Hoolock gibbon, they are categorized into 3 types. Number 1, western Hoolock gibbon, second is eastern Hoolock gibbon, and the last is Skywalker Hoolock gibbon. Now it's a lot of details which we cannot memorize, only 2-3 things we can at least try memorizing. That Skywalker Hoolock gibbon is not found in India. That's it. And its IUCN red list status is the endangered one. The western Hoolock gibbon, they are found definitely in northeastern India and Bangladesh, and its IUCN status is endangered under Wildlife Protection Act 1972 Schedule 1. And eastern Hoolock gibbon again in the northeastern part of the country and the China and Myanmar. So IUCN status is vulnerable and under Wildlife Protection Act Schedule 1. Now there are a lot of details here, but this is how it is. If you haven't gotten over it, then there's nothing to be understood per se. So if you haven't been able to memorize, then only key is to just watch it again and try to memorize them, because this is important. So either way we are done. So let's get on to the next species which is important. In fact, it's more important. It's Amur falcon. So first of all, it's a bird, as we can see right here. It's definitely a bird, but it's the world's longest traveling raptor. Very, very important. So they start their journey in the winter season from the Siberia to come all the way till southern part of the Africa, that is southern Africa. So long journey indeed they cover, and rightly they are the world's longest traveling raptor. Now let's look at the details from the slide. They start traveling with the onset of winters. That's it. And they breed in the southeastern Siberia and northern China. Although it's not important, but it's a really interesting fact that they actually breed in such a cold region, that is Siberia and northern China, and then after they start their journey towards the southern areas in the winter where the temperature is milder, and then they come on their way, they come to India as well. And where exactly in India? In the Doyang Lake in Nagaland. Very, very important. Where is Doyang Lake? In Nagaland. What is it famous? It's famous for the annual migration and the breeding ground of these. And then onwards they enter the southern Africa. Thus Nagaland is also known as the falcon capital of the world. And that's it. Why we're calling them Amur Falcon? Because Amur is a river that forms the border between Russia and China. Very, very important. So which river forms a boundary between Russia and China? Amur River. So that's how we just are calling it Amur Falcon. A few more details here, that under IUCN they are least concerned, under CITES they are in appendix 2nd. Now I know this is boring even for me as well to explain, but then this is how it is. So go through it once again and try to memorize each and every point. So just for a quick revision, Amur Falcon, name from the Amur River because it forms a boundary between Russia and China. They breed in southern Siberia and northern China, and they start their journey towards the Africa. In between they reside or they stay at the Nagaland Doyang Lake. There also they breed, and that's how Nagaland is called as the falcon capital of the world. And they are the longest traveling raptors. Their IUCN status is LC, that is least concern, and they are under CITES appendix 2nd. So that's it. And let's get on to the next one. It's a bar-headed goose. Alright, so this is a goose and it got a fancy name, that is bar-headed, and this is how it looks. And it got a very difficult name, that is it's the Anser indicus. So not very difficult, in fact easy one. Anser indicus is their name. So these Pathamithita birders, they have spotted this goose where? In the wildlife wetland of Kerala. And what is the name of the wetland? Karingali Pancha wetland. It's near Pandalam. So we have to memorize the name of the wetland, although I do not think it's really important, but still it's Karingali Pancha. And its scientific name is, the scientific name of the bar-headed goose is Anser indicus. And why we are studying it? Because it's the one bird which can fly even at a very high altitude. They crosses the Himalayan range. So they are found in the China and Mongolia. They breed there and then they migrate towards the Indian subcontinent during winter. That's it. And because they are residing in central China, they are to come to Indian subcontinent, so Himalayas are to be crossed. So that make us say that they indeed can fly at a very high altitude, and that's how what making it special, that they have the capacity to transport and consume oxygen at a high rates in hypoxia. And this distinguishes this species from the similar lowland waterfowl. Now this is important. Number one, when we are at a very high altitude, we know the amount available of oxygen decreases, and this is something that we call as a hypoxia condition, in which body or a region of the body is deprived of adequate oxygen supply at the tissue level. So this bar-headed goose has the capacity to even consume oxygen at a very high rate, at a very high altitude as well. So this is how it is. It might be having some special mechanism, but we are not supposed to go into the science of that. But itna hi samajh liya that hypoxia is a condition when body is deprived of the oxygen or any part of the body, and this can happen at a very high altitude because we know air becomes thinner over there and the amount of oxygen available in the air goes down, because it is to travel at a very high altitude, that is crossing over Himalayan ranges to come over to the Indian subcontinent. So it has the capacity to consume and undertake oxygen even at a very high altitudes. That's how this is making it special one. So that's it. IUCN status is least concern, and we are done with this as well. क्या ही याद रखेंगे इसमें? बार हेडेड गूज इसका नाम है, केरला में मिला है, सेंट्रल चाइना में मिलता है, और मंगोलिया में भी इधर इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट की तरफ आता है, बहुत हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड पे भी ट्रैवल करता है, इसलिए इसमें एक कैपेसिटी है टू टेक इन ऑक्सीजन and IUCN status is least concern. So that's it. Now let's get on to the next one, which is Hobara bustard. This is really important, and where exactly it's been found, range is important. It's in Northeast Asia, across Central Asia and the Middle East and the Arabian Peninsula to reach the Sinai desert. तो बस याद रखने वाला चीज़ यही है that it's not found in a very thickly forested areas, because we know Middle East, Arabian Peninsula, Sinai desert, they are not so forested. So unlike other species which are generally found in the Western Ghats or the northeastern India, they are in fact found in the Central Asian or Middle East region or the Arabian Peninsula and the Sinai desert, and they are all nearby areas. Why we are studying it? The context is not important. Basically, its status is critically endangered. Still, the Pakistan government allowed royal family of Qatar to come to Pakistan and hunt them. Of course, after a lot of hue and cry, this permission was cancelled, but again, context is not important. Now, the Hobara bustard is important. Its IUCN status is critically endangered. What are the threats? Poaching, unregulated hunting, and the degradation of the natural habitat. They live in the arid climate, that is desert one. They have two distinct species, that the North African and the Asian. Now herein only Asian one is the critically endangered, and we're talking about the Asian Hobara bustard right now, because Pakistan is a part of Asia and not of Africa. North African bustard का critically endangered status different है, that you people can Google on your own, because I have not myself googled, and I did google it actually, but now I've forgotten, so just google it on your own. But just keep in mind that Asian one is the critically endangered, that's it. क्योंकि ऐसा बहुत जिगजैग जैसे क्वेश्चन यूपीएससी बनाता है, तो इधर नॉर्थ अफ्रीका का ना बोल दें और हम गलत कराएं. सो द एशियन वन विच इज़ द क्रिटिकली इंडेंजर्ड, दैट्स इट. नाउ अगेन आई डू नॉट नो इट्स इंटरेस्टिंग और बोरिंग, बट वी आर डन. सो लेट्स गेट ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट वन. नाउ हियर इट्स द peregrine falcon. All right, IUCN status is least concerned. Okay, it's a widespread prey, bird of prey in the family Falconidae. Absolutely no need to memorize. Speed is very high. It can travel at a speed of 320 km per hour, and it can do this high speed diving, or it can stoop hunting, we just call it. That make it the fastest bird in the world and the fastest member of the animal kingdom. Again, not important. It can be found nearly everywhere on earth, and that is making it not so important, because it can be found anywhere over earth, except the extreme polar regions and very high mountains and most tropical rainforest. So that's it. Everywhere on the earth except the extremes, that is polar or very high mountains or tropical rainforest. Now these are not important as such, and this is most widely found bird species. So because it's most widely found, so that's not important, but either way we have covered. So if a question comes, at least we'll be able to answer it. And why we are studying it? Because a journal was published. In the journal, a study was published that this falcon has the fastest vision in the animal kingdom. Again, not so important. Now this is interesting. The red sand boa snake. So it's a snake definitely, but it is not venomous. तो अगर आपको काट भी लेगा तो कुछ होगा नहीं. Why we are studying it? Because 5 people in fact, they were trying to sell it in Madhya Pradesh. So definitely they were caught and it was illegal. It's a non-poisonous snake. It's a rare one, and it's used for making certain medicines, cosmetics, and in black magic. And this is why it's in huge demand in the international market. They are found in whole of India, excluding Northeast. That's it. And the islands. Now this is slightly difficult thing to otherwise digest, that snake not found in Northeast, which is very very heavily forested area, and not in the islands, but this is how it is. So याद रखना है, red sand boa snake is found in whole of India, but not in the northeastern states and not in the Indian islands. In general, people classify your term is as the two-headed snake. तो हम लोग आम इंसान इसको two-headed snake बोलते हैं. वो किस लिए? Because इसका जो पूंछ है, it has a very thick tail and it gives a presence of another mouth because it's a thick one and it's rounded as well. So normal people think of it as another head of the snakes, and that's why they call it a two-headed snake. And under size, it's under Appendix 2nd under Wildlife Protection Act Schedule 4. This is something we just have to mug up. So red sand boa snake we have covered. Appendix 2 Schedule 4 found in whole of India excluding the northeastern states and the islands, and that's it. So we are done for the month of December. Thank you so much for watching and goodbye.